Thank you. Oh, really great turnout here. This is lovely to see. Hi, everyone. We're going to get started. I'm Valerie Bashida. I'm one of the co-presidents of the Druid Hills PTO, and welcome and thank you for coming. We have a really great panel for you here tonight to talk about AP and dual enrollment. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to introduce the Druid Hills side, and then my co-president, Julie Gomez, is going to introduce some of our guests from other colleges. So with us from Druid Hills tonight, we have Tamara Ross, who is the AP coordinator for Druid Hills High School. And we also have Carla Brown, who is the head counselor, who can answer all kinds of questions about everything that you need to know about enrolling in whatever program you're interested in. And then also, we're really excited to have a student with us too, Ellie Sears, who's in dual enrollment right now and also has taken AP classes. So if you have questions for her, she'll be able to answer them later as well. And I'll hand it over to Julie.
Hey everyone, I'm Julie Gomez, co-president with Valerie for the PTO. I'm excited to share this presentation this evening. I'm also a parent of a dual enrollment student, as well as it's been in my career path for the last about 10 years working in and around dual enrollment. So I love being able to share these exciting opportunities for our young people. Our first speaker is Bob Reno. He serves as the program director for English at Georgia Piedmont Technical College. He's a dual enrollment instructor, as well as a parent of Druid Hills High School dual enrollment student as well. And following Bob, we have Lakita Tody, who is a dual enrollment coordinator also at Georgia Piedmont Technical College. SeanCroix, who just recently joined the college. He's primarily going to be serving in the Druid Hills High School area. So definitely take down his information for our parents and students. And then from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, we have Samantha Miata, who's the assistant director of dual enrollment for the worldwide programs, and Danielle Peterson, the academic advisor for dual enrollment. So thank you, and we'll turn it over to Bob.
Hi, how's everyone doing tonight? So I'm speaking as the program director of the English department and an instructor who has dual enrollment students in his classes, as well as teaches a dedicated dual enrollment class at a local high school. I also have a student, a daughter who takes dual enrollment classes here at Georgia Piedmont Tech through Druid Hills as her high school. So I come to this from both sides. I just wanted to mention a few things first about Georgia Piedmont Tech. It's really flexible here. The application process is eminently simple. We filled it out in probably less than an hour. Got an answer back the next day. So it's not as if you're filling out an application for Harvard. This is going to take you weeks and be agonizing. On top of that, there's no SAT scores required. I think it's funny that Georgia State does not require SATs for their incoming freshmen, but they do still require them for dual enrollment students right now. So if you hadn't had the chance to take the SAT or maybe have some anxiety around standardized testing, this is a great answer to that. It's really close to Druid Hills. And on top of that, since one may have to drive to campus here, the students are prioritized as far as parking passes for the high school. So that's a huge deal, I know. And then just as far as English is concerned, essentially, unless you're going to get a 5 on the AP English test, you're going to have to take freshman English, right? So if you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone and get high school credit and college credit for doing that now, and let the state of Georgia pay for it, that's a great thing in my mind. And if for parents, the classes are just as rigorous as what are offered to college students. And that's the next thing I wanted to talk about, that these are college classes, and sometimes high school students can be caught unawares or unprepared. I know just through my work at one of the local high schools that there is a tremendous amount of leeway currently in high schools about due dates and actual grades. And this is college, and the college's policy officially is that we don't take late work. In practice, professors usually have a late work policy that would involve a reduced grade or something like that. But sometimes high school students are expecting that after 6 weeks, they're able to make up all the work they haven't done yet. And that's not necessarily going to be the case, that anyone taking dual enrollment classes should be prepared to start work right away and to submit it on time and consistently. That it's there's no research that shows at the college level, in higher education, that the sort of redoing work or having recovery days leads to any advantages in teaching or in learning, for that matter. So that's probably the big thing that I find some high school students are surprised by. And I don't even know if it's a conscious decision to not do work for the first few weeks, but that seems to happen, not the majority of the time, but significantly enough that I noticed that. But we're here to work with you and with any of your students, and enjoy having them here. They liven up the place, and we love working with them. And that's about all I have to say. So thanks.
Thank you, Bob. Lakita?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me? Okay. All right. So good afternoon or good evening. My name is Lakita Tody. I am one of the dual enrollment coordinators, as Ms. Gomez mentioned, here or at Georgia Piedmont Technical College. I will give a bravo to Mr. Reno. He did a pretty good job describing some of the great strengths that we offer at GPTC for dual enrollment students. But what I can say from my end as one of the coordinators, we have a relatively new team. All of us who are now dual enrollment coordinators have been here for a year or less. So we are trying to implement new things to get dual enrollment students acclimated and tips for success. Tonight we had a student success night. It was our inaugural success night. So, and we'll have more throughout the semester. So we're just trying to get everything establish where the dual enrollment students can feel comfortable and they can have a soft place to land. I know they're college students, but they do also some of them need an additional push sometimes, or just an additional you can do it. So we are trying to build our team and get those events in place so that our dual enrollment students can take advantage of those. And one of our greatest strengths as a dual enrollment program is, because we are a technical school, we can take 10th grade students. So that is something that sets us apart from our wonderful universities that are part of the university system of Georgia. We are allowed to take 10th grade students, so that's often a big sell. Now, they can only do technical courses, but they can join our program. And if they do start as 10th graders, they can also transition to doing the courses that will also count as high school credits once they become 11th graders. They can do it as 10th grade as well, but it would just have to be self-pay because it wouldn't be funded by the state. So thank you all for having me here tonight. We are doing our best to make our dual enrollment program a success for all of our students. We are a growing team. And so, sometimes we have some growing pains, but we are trying really hard to make sure that the parents and the students feel like they are in an environment that will help them succeed.
Thank you, Lakita and SeanCroix. We look forward to hearing from you. I believe you're in your first month with GPTC.
Yes, I'm my first, actually going on 2 months. I'm excited and I'm eager to get out there and definitely understand the culture. I know the culture is something I was speaking about earlier today. Understanding the culture of the counselors, and also creating our own culture ourselves as coordinators. So I'm really excited just to get out and running. I know I went to Martin Luther King Junior High School earlier, and it's just nice to see students actually interested in the dual enrollment program. And yeah, like I said, I'm just excited for the culture.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And we'll turn it over to our Embry-Riddle participants at this time. Thank you, Samantha.
Hi, Julie. Julie, do you want me to go ahead and introduce myself, or would you like me to move forward with the presentation as well?
Go ahead. You may as well.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if that's okay. Just let me know if you can see it. Okay.
Yes, it's up. Thank you.
Okay. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us tonight. We are from Embry-Riddle Dual Enrollment. So this is our DE team tonight. I am here with you. I'm Samantha Miata. I'm the Assistant Director for the Dual Enrollment Program. I also have Danielle Peterson here with me tonight. She's the Dual Enrollment Advisor. And Selena could not be with us tonight, but she's our Dual Enrollment Coordinator. If you do decide to move forward with our program, she would be the one who would be your first contact and somebody that you would work with to, start the process of the admissions. Okay, let's see here. Technical difficulties. So what is Embry-Riddle? We are not what you would call a regular Georgia-based institution, but we are a member of the Georgia Funding Program. We do have remote locations all over the globe, but some of our different folks in Georgia have seen our location there, such as Julie, so she's kind of familiar with us from that aspect. But we are a private institution that specializes in aviation, aerospace, and security intelligence. The university services more than 25,000 full-time students within its 3 campuses, which include Daytona Beach, Prescott, and its online campus, which is known as Worldwide. In 2013, Embry-Riddle launched its online dual enrollment program, and we've been a participant of the Georgia Funding Program for the last 5 years.
All right, so what is dual enrollment? Dual enrollment is a program in which students are able to earn either joint or dual credit while in high school. We often get asked what is the difference between dual and joint credit. So joint credit is where a student earns credit solely to be applied on the college side, where dual credit is when a student earns credit for courses taken on the college side as well as the high school side. And the high school does determine how the credit is applied on their side.
So who is eligible for dual enrollment? All students in high school grades 9 through 12 in all 50 states are eligible to participate in our program. The requirement is just that they would have completed 1 semester of high school and have transcripted grades.
So what is the cost? The cost of the Embry-Riddle dual enrollment program is $250 per credit hour, plus the cost of related textbooks and materials. Most of our courses are 3 to 4 credit hours. So dual enrollment students are considered to be non-degree seeking, meaning there is no financial aid available to them. Just to reiterate, all Georgia high school students are eligible, but tuition coverage is based on Georgia state funding requirements.
And just to piggyback on that, since we do participate in the Georgia Funding Program, as you can kind of see in the breakdown here, it kind of shows who is eligible. So for Georgia, freshmen and sophomore, freshmen are not covered by the Georgia Funding Program, but students are still able to participate if the parent would like to pay out of pocket for the program. And that would also include the textbooks and materials. As far as sophomore, there's SAT and ACT requirements per Georgia regulations that students would have to meet in order to be eligible as a sophomore. And then junior and seniors are not required, do not meet that same requirements. They are eligible to participate in our program and have the up to 30 credits covered by the Georgia Funding Program, and their tuition as well as books would be covered in that scenario. So what is the benefit to your student? So whether it be that the student is planning to attend Embry-Riddle long-term, or even if they're not planning to attend Embry-Riddle, there is always going to be an aspect of cost savings, especially in Georgia, where the tuition and books are covered. But in general, if they're interested in pursuing a degree in aviation or aerospace, as you can see here, here's our Embry-Riddle tuition rates. The ERAU regular dual enrollment rates is $250 per credit hour. The online worldwide rate is $4.85 per credit hour, and Daytona Beach campus, as well as Prescott campus, which is our two main campuses, are $16.95 per credit hour. So if this is, your passion and you're interested in attending Embry-Riddle overall, this program can definitely provide a huge savings to you. So piggybacking on that, students who start as early as 9th or 12th or 10th grade have the ability to fulfill requirements towards an associate's degree, which will knock out 2 years of their 4-year degree. Again, that's a cost savings. As far as transferability, Embry-Riddle is SACS accredited, meaning that all courses taken are transferable to outside institutions. These courses are also transferable amongst the Embry-Riddle campuses.
So available terms. So we do offer several 9-week terms throughout the year for students to take courses. To maximize the number of courses taken per year without overlapping terms, students typically participate in our August, October, January, March, and May terms. These are suggested because it allows for the student to have about a week break in between each term.
And our term breakdown is a little bit different than what you might find at some of the other universities. Because we offer 9-week classes, it allows the student to participate in several different terms throughout the year and meet a variety of different deadlines. So if August doesn't work for you and you need a little bit of a later start time, September is available, or October, and same with the spring semesters. It just allows for some more flexibility. What are the requirements? So in order to be admitted to our dual enrollment program, a student must be in grades 9 through 12, having completed 1 semester of 9th grade. They're required to have a minimum GPA of a 2.75 on the high school side, and the academic record must show positive performance in all core subjects.
So how does your student apply? So it's a super easy process. So you would apply via our dual enrollment website, email kind of as well. So you could do both. So dual enrollment, it would be dualenrollment.rau.edu. You would have your high school counselor email us your transcripts, or you can mail them in. It's just quicker with the email way. And then you will have your admissions decision within 24 to 48 hours of that.
What are our courses like? Our courses are 9 weeks in length, as we've kind of mentioned. All of our courses are considered asynchronous, meaning there are no live meeting times or lectures. Assignments are due on a weekly basis, and courses are not self-paced, but there is an instructor inside of the course who is available to assist with any of the students' needs. Courses are not DE specific. They are a mix of both undergrad and DE students.
So course subjects. Dual enrollment offers courses in a variety of disciplines. Courses available are limited 100 to 200 level courses. Associate degrees are offered to dual enrollment students, but they are not guaranteed as they are student reliant. A number of factors are considered, including academic performance, cost, availability of courses, and the student grade level. We do not offer flight courses or licensing through our program. However, licenses are considered when advising, as most FAA licenses are considered by Embry-Riddle for credit toward an in-discipline degree.
Our next available terms. So our next available term is starting in March. The registration deadline is 3/10. What that means, registration deadline, is that the student would have to have submitted their application, transcripts, and have a course selected by that date. But as you can see here, referring back to our flexible timeframes, a student can pretty much join anytime throughout the year. And we just have a slide for questions, but we can hold those to the end if that works.
Yeah, I think let's hold the questions till the end, because what I think I'd like to do is, I know we had a number of questions from parents. I think we kind of need now maybe Carla to step in a little bit and say, okay, so now my student might be interested in this. What's the process at Druid Hills for them to apply? What are the deadlines? Some of that information.
Sure. Sounds great.
So thank you very much for that.
I guess I'm
Thank
on.
you.
Yeah. You're always going to get questions. You know that.
And it's absolutely fine. So hi, everyone. I am Carla Brown. I am the head counselor at Druid Hills High School. And so, just briefly about the dual enrollment process as it relates to the high school's role and the student's role and the college's role. There's 3 different entities involved in the whole process. And so once you have gotten enough information and you've decided that you and your student would like to pursue the dual enrollment option, great, because there are a lot of benefits, as you guys have already heard. But the process is, and I'm going to be mailing out or emailing, not mailing. I'm going to be emailing I call it a cheat sheet, but it's literally just a quick guide with about 4 steps, just literal, very, very comprehensive. Step 1 is to apply to the college itself. So if you are still trying to decide what school, or you just don't know which one to do, just like you just heard from Embry-Riddle, they have different admissions requirements. GPTC has different admission requirements. GSU has different admission requirements. But in the dual enrollment process, whichever college you decide to attend, you have to adhere to their admission requirements and you have to follow their application process. So you are literally going to be applying to the college as if you're applying as a student, you're just applying as a dual enrollment student. And so you have to make sure that you're paying attention to those admission requirements to the college's dual enrollment application. So make sure you're looking at that, make sure you've met those requirements. So just like Mr. Reno said, GSU requires an SAT, ACT score for dual enrollment. You have to pay attention to things like that when you're choosing the college. Okay, so that's step 1, is choosing a college, applying to the college. So their colleges have their own application for dual enrollment. Okay, then there is another application. The other application is found on Georgia Futures. That application is called a funding application. That's how you get your classes paid for. So as you've heard, the state of Georgia will cover up to 30 credit hours in the dual enrollment program. So the funding application must be complete because that's how you get your classes paid for. So you have your college application, you have your funding application, which the funding application is on gafutures.org. Again, I'm going to be emailing in the very near future, probably towards the end of March, or maybe the 3rd week of March, all of these steps. Okay, so then there's the funding application. And then the other step is, once you've gotten communication from the college about I forgot the transcript. So the application has to be accompanied by your high school transcript, and you may send that through gafutures.org, or if the college that you are choosing requires it to be sent from the counselor to a specific email address, make sure you communicate that to your counselor to have your transcript sent to the college via that email address that they would like that transcript to be sent to, because your college application or your dual enrollment admission application will not be complete without a high school transcript. Okay, so there's that part. Then once all of that has been solidified and finalized, and the college says, hey, we like you, we want you here, take some classes here, then you have the burden of choosing those classes. Your counselor, myself, whoever your counselor is at Druid Hills High School, we do not do that. So there is a course directory that can be found on gafutures.org. There's a list of classes by college that are covered through the dual enrollment program. Not all classes that are offered at the schools are covered through dual enrollment. There's a list of classes that are covered, and you have to make sure that you are paying attention to it. You have to make sure that you're paying attention to whether the class has prerequisites or not. And so once you have you have to have an idea of what kind of classes do you want: science classes, English classes, social studies classes. So that does require a possible conversation with your counselor, just to kind of figure that part out. But you yourself has to be the one to decide what classes you're going to take. We'll offer you suggestions, which is great. Okay. Once you figured out what classes you'd like to take, I need to know that, meaning me, Ms. Brown, I need to know that. But there is a link to a form. The form, you must enter the courses that you would like to take onto a form that I will provide the link to. I provide the link by semesters. Okay, so the one that I'm going to be sending out towards the end of this month is going to be a form that is going to gather all of your summer dual enrollment course requests. And then there's another form that's going to hold your fall course requests. So there'll be actually 2 links. So there's the summer classes and then the fall classes. So on that form, I need to know what classes you are requesting, because I go in and I approve them for payment. That's the only thing I do. You putting your classes on that form is just me knowing which classes you'd like to have paid for. That's not registering for the classes. All that's doing is letting me know, okay, John would like to take English 1101 in the summer. And I say, okay, cool. Like, all right, Georgia, pay for that. But I didn't register you. So keep that in mind. Just because you filled the form out does not mean that you have registered for the course. All you've done was just made sure that it was going to be paid for. Okay, so that's what that form does. So that's all that I do. I only approve the classes for payment. And so then after that, it is your responsibility. It's a very independent process because the classes themselves are very independent. We don't even know what grades you're getting until the end of the semester. We don't get a grade update. We don't get any of that. Okay, so it's a very independent process. So once the college has admitted you, and all of these are simultaneous, even though I list them as steps, the only thing that you'd have to wait for in order to register for classes is your admissions, but you can be doing it out at the same time. But anyway, long story short, once the college says you're in, they're going to give you instructions on how to register for those classes. It is your responsibility to register for the classes. It is your responsibility to know when the classes meet, because there is a course catalog. Each college supplies that, and it's your responsibility. I have no inside track at any college. I have none of that. Only thing I do is I say, oh, you want to take English 1101? Cool. And I press the button and then it gets paid for. But outside of that, I don't know when the classes are offered. I don't know any of that. So it's very independent of Druid Hills High School. So that's why there is that kind of grade level restriction. I would imagine. That's just my opinion, if I'm being honest. But it does take a certain amount of maturity in order to do dual enrollment. There is no transportation provided. So if you are taking classes on campus, you have to provide your own transportation. And so, so all of that is, and I see a question just popped up. So we make accommodations in the high school schedule to accommodate dual enrollment classes. So if you find a class that meets in the morning, and you also have to be aware of which classes you like to take at the high school. And if there's a certain class that only meets first period and you really want that class, then you need to make sure that when you're choosing classes in dual enrollment, that your dual enrollment classes after first period. But outside of that, we try to accommodate your dual enrollment schedule. And you tell me what time your dual enrollment schedule, or you tell your counselor what time your dual enrollment schedule or classes meet. And then we try to schedule it that way. Or you just be very strategic while you're choosing those classes. You say, well, I want my dual enrollment classes in the morning and I'll just come to the high school in the afternoon, or vice versa. Or you just take all 4 classes in dual enrollment. So, it's really up to you. Again, it does take a level of maturity. It does take a level of, just independence. So just make sure that is your student. If you know your student, and your student needs you to handhold them, and your student needs you to, be on top of them to do their work, I'm not sure that dual enrollment is the best option. I'm just saying. So, Valerie.
Yeah, no, that was great. And I was gonna say, there's some other questions that we have that we got ahead of time in the chat, but before we move to those, I was wondering, Ellie, if you would want to comment on that a little bit, since you've gone through this process, like how you managed to do it. Make sure you were coordinating your schedule with high school, like with your dual enrollment classes.
Yeah, so I mean, especially senior year, a lot of your courses or course requirements for graduation have already been met. So I had a lot of flexibility with my schedule. And with my experience, so I take classes at GSU, which has 4 perimeter locations and then a downtown. They have a lot of options. So even if you don't end up with the exact schedule that you want or like the exact classes that you want, they have a lot of options so that you can work with your schedule really well.
Thank you. Before that, we had a question about IB and can IB students participate in dual enrollment?
Yes. Do I recommend it?
We are being
sorry.
recorded.
I'm sorry. No, absolutely. IB students may take, there's no restrictions. The restrictions would be the time that the class meets. The IB schedule is a set schedule. It's already set. You guys are in cohorts. 11th grade, there's no there's no room for moving anything in 11th grade. 12th grade, there's a little bit more flexibility just because it loosens up just slightly, where you may have some room to take your first period, take an elective, but even yet and still, dual enrollment courses are not like, you don't take English 1101 and expect it's only going to be 60 minutes. So you have to take into account the travel time. You have to take into account the fact that your dual enrollment class will probably be 2 hours twice a week, or maybe 2.5 hours twice a week. And so it makes it very difficult to take dual enrollment courses during the day if you are in IB. Actually, it makes it impossible. Let me just, cut and dry. It's impossible to take a dual enrollment face-to-face class in the IB program during the school year. Absolutely, IB students have taken dual enrollment classes. They usually kind of put it in the summer because you are allowed to take up to 3 classes in the summertime through the dual enrollment program. So if you are in IB and you still would like to get that experience taking college classes, I would advise that you do it in the summertime. And otherwise, if you have to take them during the school year, there are online options at most colleges, just like, you've heard from GPTC, you heard from Embry-Riddle, there are online options. And so with that said, that could be that, that's how you could fulfill that part. But no, IB students are able to participate in the dual enrollment program.
Okay, and I think before, one more for, I think we had a question about taking the SAT by a certain date before submitting an application. So that probably varies on the school, correct?
It absolutely does. The dual enrollment application, I believe, for most of the, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not sure exactly. Each school, again, has their own requirements and their own deadlines. May 1st is typically like the deadline for summer applications and for fall applications. And so with that being said, in order to have your application be complete, if they require SAT or ACT scores, it would be very ideal to have that done and have your scores in by that time. So yeah.
Okay. So we had someone in the chat ask about AP, and I'm sure we haven't talked about AP classes yet. So we did get a couple questions about AP. So I'm gonna turn it over those to you, Tamara, and for some things you might want to talk about. So a couple questions. One we got was, how many classes should you, AP classes should you have? This is specific to engineering. I wonder if we should do a little more broad question first. Hold on a second here. We will get to that. One was, how much weight does an AP course hold over a general education or gifted course?
I think, Ms. Brown, can you answer that question when it comes to waiting for GPAs?
Yes, so AP classes and dual enrollment classes are on a 5-point scale. So what that means is that if you earn an A instead of the regular 4 points for an A, you would get 5 for an A, 4 for a B, 3 for a C, 2 for a D. Don't get any Ds.
Okay, and then how many classes should you have if your pathway is engineering?
AP classes?
AP classes.
Well, we are still bidding on the engineering side. So typically it depends on what your career goal is. This year, we are actually offering computer science A as a AP course. This is the first year that we've offered it in a while. And then if you are looking at, just engineering in general, maybe the AP calculus. And it's more based on what school you want to go to during your undergraduate to see what their requirements are and what they require for AP and what they require for admission and what AP scores they accept.
Right. I mean, I think for UGA, it's something of 7. You have to have, they want at least 6 or 7 maybe AP courses. I think they're looking for, and I'm sure Georgia Tech it's similar or higher. So it depends on the school. I just know from having my sons apply there. So
I mean, I can kind of speak to that just briefly.
Yeah.
So the colleges, as it relates to college admissions for undergrad, they have the school's profile and they know how many AP and IB and all that we offer at the school. And so if you are looking to apply to a competitive college and you're taking AP classes, the expectation is that you have at least you've not exhausted, but they want to make sure that you have chosen a rigorous program for yourself as it relates to what the school offers. So if the school offers like 13 AP classes, taking 1 or 2 is not going to, look as good on an application as it would for a student who decided to take about 5 or 6, because they know, well, this school offers 13 AP classes. Why did you only take 2? And so that's part of what goes into the admissions process, is that what kind of classes, based upon what the school offers, what kind of classes have you chosen for yourself? And so, that does go into also, the GPA as well. So it does look really, really good that if you take about, maybe 4 to 5 AP classes, maybe even more, we have some students who chose not to do the IB and they chose to go the AP route, and they say, well, I need to take as many AP classes as I can. Or you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself too and that you can manage it. But 1 or 2 may not look as good as like a 4 or 5.
And then, Ms. Brown, if I can add to that, one thing I've been finding is people have been getting the AP just to say that they want to take an AP class and actually have no interest. It's a full commitment in our AP courses. So I don't recommend, if you have a student who is not strong in math, AP calculus may not be the appropriate course for them to take just so they can say, oh, I took an AP class. We also have students who take AP exams without actually taking the course. They do independent study. So, and we offer just about 15 of the 30 exams that College Board has. But I always encourage my students, think about what your desires, what your likes are, and what you're passionate about. So don't jump into an AP English class if you don't like reading. Think about that before you just jump into class and say, oh, I'm going to take 5 or 6 AP classes because I needed to look good on my transcript.
All right. And that's what makes the AP, I call it a program. It's not really a program, but that's what makes the option of taking AP classes a really good option, because you can do a la carte. You're not a math person, then don't do AP math, just do the AP English or do AP social studies, AP science. You can kind of, you do the a la carte thing. What are you into? Do that. AP art. We have AP art. And so that is an option, and it's a really good option if you are, math minded, you're not too much English minded, do your AP math and AP science or AP sciences. Or if you're, liberal arts minded, don't do the AP math, do the, so you can a la carte it.
Hang on, I just want to check. Loretta, I hope we're answering some of your questions. I can tell you also that some of the classes are geared more towards freshmen and sophomores, or they kind of recommended, like, I think AP World is usually for sophomores. AP Human is usually for freshmen. So
yeah, we no longer offer AP Human. We switched
Okay.
to AP Government.
Okay.
And that is the standard class that most ninth graders start with. I want to say we have a freshman in maybe AP Computer Science. I'm not 100% sure. But typically when students come in, they start with one AP class, and that's our AP Government, to get them acclimated to the AP program. Then if they want to continue in AP their sophomore year, that's when the floodgates kind of open up. They have more options. They have world history, economics, psychology, chemistry, statistics. And as they progress along through high school, there are more options of courses for them to take.
Ellie, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I think as a student, like, kind of going off of what Ms. Brown was saying, you can definitely pick and choose what you want to do. And also a really great part of AP is the exams at the end, they are a lot. So when you're deciding, or when your student or kid is deciding what classes they want to take, how many exams that they're going to have at the end of the year are also going to be really important, because those take a lot of personal effort in studying. You don't have to take the exam at the end of the year, but I think if you want college credit, you have to take the exam and get either a 4 or 5 usually.
Yeah, the AP exam is separate from the class. So you don't have to take the AP exam, and it will not affect your grade in the class. It's highly recommended to take the AP exam for college purposes.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to talk about the comment in the chat, but then also talk about with the recommendation of the AP exams. Our expectation is that our students do take the exams. While College Board is a wonderful program, they are also trying to increase enrollment. So typically by November, for year-long classes or classes that only meet in the fall, we've placed our AP order. So when students come back afterwards and tell us, I decided not to take the AP, we have that conversation in the beginning with our teachers. Let your students know the AP exam is not a requirement, but we need to, make a decision soon enough. And College Board put that rule in place in order to get more students to commit to the program, to taking the exams, and follow through versus just, halfway through, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. By putting that commitment in, they're trying to increase the enrollment within AP.
And can you speak to the question about the
scheduling?
The scheduling, yeah.
Yes. So, and Ms. Brown can help with this, and I work with Ms. Brown and Mr. Ingram on the master schedule. But one thing about some courses only being offered one semester is the limited resources. When you have courses requirements such as, I'll say, for example, a math class, we had such a large freshman class coming in, we had to increase the number of algebra classes that we offered. By increasing the number of algebra classes, that will decrease an AP class or have to cut it down to one semester. With the economics and the psychology, it's paired together. The English is paired with typically a US history or another AP class, but it's based on resources and how much we have, how many teachers we have who are certified to teach it, and the request detail. If we only have 10 students requesting a class, to take one teacher away from teaching a class year long for 10 students, it's when there's another class such as an algebra or physical science that may be overloaded with 34, 35 students, we have to weigh our options and see what's the best way. We're fortunate that we can offer AP chemistry, because at one year we did not have it at one point. And then we also were fortunate enough to at least move our one semester classes to the spring, because they used to be in the fall. It's a slight disadvantage. Some of our teachers are giving summer work, summer assignments to kind of help with that. gap that they have in trying to get all the material finished. But it's a scheduling issue. It's not that we don't want to, but it's a scheduling issue, just where our hands are tied with our limited resources in some cases.
Yeah, we can spend a whole hour talking about scheduling. We have 3 programs in one school, and we have the same teachers for all 3 programs. We don't have IB teachers, we don't have AP teachers, we don't have general ed teachers. We have the same teachers, and those teachers teach from all 3 programs. And so when we're sharing teachers, it does become a scheduling issue. And so, Susan Ann, I saw your question about why is it year long? And so first off, just like Ms. Ross was saying, the AP exams are in April, so that's second semester. So if we had a one semester AP class in the fall, we find that they're not going to be as prepared for the AP exam in April. So we try to do, we talk to the teachers. Is this able to be pushed into one semester? If it is, great. And we try to make it second semester. Otherwise, and then when you pile all of the AP classes in one semester, then you losing out on being able to take as many AP classes as you can. So we have a kind of a unique situation where some of them are year long. So that way you can get 2 AP classes in one, that, kind of knocks 2 out. And then, it's just a very unique kind of way to get them in. If we could be very uniform about it, but unfortunately we can't. And so the ones, the AP classes that we feel that could be taught in one semester are taught in one semester. The ones that have so much material that it probably should not be taught in one semester in order to prepare the students in a very, to prepare them for the AP exam, then they spread them out.
I see Samantha has her hand raised.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to piggyback on the AP discussion from a college perspective. So for us at Embry-Riddle, we don't necessarily look at just the AP class being taken. It is going to depend on the exam, whether or not a student will get credit on the college side. And I always encourage all parents and students, when you're going through the admissions process at a university, whether it be Embry-Riddle or just any university at all, don't just rely on the admissions council or the advisor to take a look at those AP exams and ask you, hey, did you take the exam itself just because you took the class on the transcript? Always be an advocate for yourself and say, yes, by the way, I did take the exams. Here are my scores, and submit that as part of your package. The reason why I say that is because a lot of times students get confused and they think, oh, well, I took AP classes, I'm going to get college credit for that. That's not always true, especially in our case. The exam is what awards the credit in order to make sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck and you're not duplicating credit for your time by taking a course you might not necessarily need because you already met it with that AP exam. You want to make sure you're an advocate for yourself and say, hey, I have these exam scores. Can you tell me what these equate to on the college side? So that way you're getting the most bang for your buck. You're not wasting your time and you're meeting what you need. So I just wanted to add that in.
And I think it varies from college to college on what score they require to get college credit. So it will depend.
And, I tell my students to look into that as well, because some schools don't accept AP credits at all, regardless of your score. So that's something else. As they become seniors, they start to think about, do I want to take the exam? Am I even going to get credit for it?
That's a good point. We did have a question that came ahead of time about, do the credits, and this I think was more for dual enrollment, do the credits transfer broadly to colleges? So maybe while we're talking about college credit, we can talk about dual enrollment credit as well. If anyone could answer that one. How does that, if you're going to a different college, how does your dual enrollment credits transfer to that other college?
So it depends on the college. It looks like Ms. Tody, were you gonna say something? No.
I could answer it.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Watson.
Yeah, for the University System of Georgia, the credit transfers over. I often see a lot of students come and they take courses in technical programs and they expect those courses to transfer over to those university systems. What I'm specifically talking about are interdisciplinary studies, which is a program that has gen ed courses. So if you want to take those gen ed courses transfer over to your university system of Georgia or technical college system of Georgia schools, to answer the question. And if you want to add, Ms. Tody, you can.
Okay, so I'm just gonna piggyback on what Mr. Watson said. So the courses that dual enrollment students take at Georgia Piedmont Technical College, so as Mr. Watson mentioned, they will transfer. So our courses transfer specifically within the state schools here in Georgia. The only stipulation is, let's say your student does a humanities with us. If they go somewhere like Georgia State may not accept it as specifically a humanities course, but they will accept it as a different type of credit. So their courses will transfer as long as they do the general education courses, which are usually the courses that our dual enrollment students do because they're seeking high school credits as well. If they take technical courses, so meaning things like cosmetology, welding, nurses, those courses would only transfer to another technical school. They would not transfer to a four-year college, but any of their general studies courses that they take will transfer within the university system of Georgia.
Yeah, so long story short, depending on your the school that the student plans on attending for undergrad, it is up to their college as to how they will receive the transfer credit from the dual enrollment program. So you can contact your admissions office for whichever school your student is planning on attending for undergrad.
Okay, and then we're getting a question about schedules, and there is time to revise schedules in the fall. I don't know about revising the fall schedule now. I'm not sure where that stands in the process. But.
So schedules are not made. So what we did with the students with advisements were course requests. And so the course requests are simply just giving us an idea of how many sections of each course we may need. So the schedules are not made, meaning if you want to change your request, you absolutely may. There's going to be some time before, probably in April, where we're going to allow the students to see the classes that they requested in January, and they can request to make changes to their request. And then we can, go about it that way. But schedules are not typically made until if at the end of the school year, it'll be more like when I'm at school by myself and and everybody's gone for the summer. But right now, they are not made for next year. They are just course requests. We don't know if they'll have those requests first semester, second. We don't know where they're going to fall because the master schedule is not complete. We need course requests to create the master schedule. And so that's the process we're in right now.
Okay, and then we have another question about the credits transferring to out-of-state colleges, but I think the answer is that's going to depend on the college again, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Valerie, if I could add in on that one, most admissions representatives for the school that the student is interested in attending will be able to direct them to somewhere on their webpage that can show them how to search for transferability. And typically, if your credit is a general education requirement, like SeanCroix mentioned, and it's from an regionally accredited institution, like everything that we've discussed tonight with the SAC-COC and other institutions that are accredited, you may or may not receive transfer credit for that, or your GPA may transfer. But most importantly, the admissions rep at the school that you're inquiring with can answer those questions. And they usually have a list of approved classes ahead of time.
Okay, I think we covered just about everything everyone asked. Do dual enrollment students get a parking spot for the entire year? Yes, the parking. I believe they do. If you get a spot, you get a spot, right? I mean, that's how it works.
Well.
Oh,
Let's
am I
not
wrong
get
on
ahead
that?
of ourselves now.
Yeah, mine's done.
So
Piggyback on others who drive, so I didn't have to go through the nightmare.
Parking is so limited at Druid Hills High School. So yes, dual enrollment students do get considered and probably, kind of first in the whole scheme of things, they do get considered first as a, and just like work-based learning students as well. But it really there's no guarantee, I guess is what I'm saying. And then we had some students who did dual enrollment in the fall, but didn't take any dual enrollment classes in the spring. Therefore, they've kind of, relinquished their parking privileges because it's done each semester. So there's no guarantee. I think it's even a lottery. Ellie's like, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lottery. I think you get priority if it's Fernbank, work-based, or dual enrollment, but you will get towed. I don't know if you want to tell your kids that if you park not in the right spot, you will get towed. So just a little warning there.
Yeah, we could probably have a whole session on the parking debate, but we're just not going to get into that right now.
Shameless plug that there are parking spaces available at the auction.
Thank you. Yeah, that's true. Our auction is coming up this weekend. Please buy your tickets. I'm sure you've been seeing Odette's emails, but if you have not, it is on Saturday. Buy your ticket, go have some fun. Yes, help the school out. It's our big fundraiser for the year, and it helps fund a lot of wonderful things that the teachers need, programs for the students, all kinds of things. So shameless plug there.
Absolutely. And even if you don't go to the party on Saturday, you can still visit the website and sign up for silent auction and bid on lots of great things, or just make a donation to fund a need. Or enter the raffle to win a big green egg.
Woo-hoo.
Okay, it looks like the questions have slowed down. Is there anything else anyone would like answered while we have everyone here? Okay, well, if not, I'd like to thank everybody for joining. Thanks to all our guests, both from Druid Hills and from outside Druid Hills. And thanks to all the parents who came and participated. We really appreciate your support. Yeah, so have a great rest of your night, everyone.
You guys take care.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.